Most people think that you need to be the loudest voice in the room, the fastest thinker, or the one with all the answers to earn respect, influence, and trust. But influence isn't claimed, it's embodied. True presence, the kind that draws people naturally and commands quiet respect, doesn't come from boasting, arguing, or proving yourself. It begins with mastering your mind, your reactions, and your actions. Stoicism reminds us that our power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering ourselves. Those who remain calm, consistent, and deliberate influence without ever having to raise their voice. Imagine the difference between someone who reacts to every challenge with tension and noise, and someone who stands steady, deliberate, and measured. One spreads chaos, the other spreads confidence. One demands attention, the other earns it naturally. Your thoughts, your habits, your reactions, they are the invisible levers of influence. When you cultivate mastery of yourself, the world begins to respond differently. Influence stops being something you chase. It becomes something you quietly embody. 1. Mastering your inner calm. Most people underestimate the quiet power of a calm mind. Influence does not come from boldness, clever arguments, or forceful presence. True strength is invisible, rooted in how you manage yourself. When chaos erupts, voices rise, expectations clash. Most people react instantly, amplifying tension without noticing. Energy spreads like a storm across a still lake, stirring ripples in every direction. Yet there is another path, deliberate stillness. It begins not with controlling others, but with mastering the turbulence inside your own mind. Your internal state is the anchor. If your mind trembles even slightly, it transmits uncertainty. If it remains stable and deliberate, it sets the tone for the entire environment. The Stoics describe this as the citadel of the mind, a space impervious to external disturbance. To inhabit it consistently requires intention, discipline, and awareness. It is the foundation upon which true influence is built. Imagine a team meeting under pressure, deadlines looming, emotions rising, decisions urgent. One person's reaction can determine the mood of the room. Panic spreads doubt. Composure restores focus. Calm is not denial or avoidance. It is the ability to feel rising emotion without being controlled by it, and to respond deliberately. Each decision, each pause, each measured tone communicates stability. Leadership begins with mastering the self. You cannot give what you do not possess. A fractured internal world radiates uncertainty, mirrored by others. The ripple effect is profound. People unconsciously reflect your energy, fear, hesitation, or agitation, just as readily as confidence, composure, and steadiness. Presence becomes a silent teacher, guiding without instruction, stabilizing without demand. Influence, then, is less about what you say and more about what you embody. Calm is strengthened through practice. Small, everyday moments become training grounds. Waiting in line when someone cuts ahead, navigating traffic while late for an important meeting, responding to a heated message. Each instance offers an opportunity to observe the impulse to react, recognize rising tension, and respond with composure. Over time, these small exercises compound. The mind learns patterns, self-regulation becomes habitual, and the external world begins to respond differently. Colleagues, friends, and even strangers sense unusual steadiness. They may not articulate it, but they feel it. This is the essence of presence. It does not shout, it does not demand, it simply is. Its influence is subtle, invisible, yet profound. It extends far beyond words or directives. Presence is further reinforced by awareness. To cultivate it, notice the subtle fluctuations of your own mind. Observe the rise of irritation, anxiety, or impatience. These internal signals are opportunities for mastery, the space between feeling and acting where choice exists. Respond deliberately rather than react instinctively. The Stoics teach that observation is the first step toward control. By noticing your thoughts and emotions, you create a pause, a buffer that allows reason to enter where instinct once dominated. This is where mastery emerges. This is where the mind can shift from reaction to action, from chaos to clarity. Consistency amplifies presence. Each time you respond deliberately under pressure, you reinforce reliability. Each measured pause, calm tone, and composed action communicates competence and steadiness. People begin to notice patterns, even if they cannot articulate them. They sense that you are someone who does not succumb to every upheaval, and their trust grows naturally. Influence in this sense is not about force or assertion. It is about consistency, alignment, and integrity expressed through action. This invisible authority shapes environments, interactions, and relationships quietly yet profoundly. Even subtle gestures contribute. Tone, pacing, and intention matter as much as words. A measured pause, deliberate step, or calm reply communicates more than any directive. These small actions compound over time, signaling reliability, stability, and mastery. The person who consistently embodies these traits does not need to assert dominance. Others follow, respect, and align with them naturally. Influence becomes self-reinforcing. People act confidently because they trust the stability of the person guiding them. Presence is invisible, yet undeniable. The integration of calm, clarity, honesty, and ownership manifests in presence. Calm stabilizes perception. Clarity organizes thought. Honesty reinforces trust. Ownership demonstrates competence. Presence is the visible effect of these internal disciplines. It communicates competence without words, calm without display, and integrity without justification. Others sense this subtle authority before directives are given. Influence, trust, and respect are earned silently, yet they endure. Even under extreme pressure, presence remains the stabilizing force. Those who have mastered internal calm, clear judgment, honesty, and responsibility navigate turbulence without losing control. Their influence spreads through observation, not imposition. Others adjust instinctively, finding guidance in consistent stability. The subtle impact is cumulative. Culture, outcomes, and relationships are shaped through disciplined self-mastery rather than overt authority or coercion. Over time, presence becomes habitual. Your energy, decisions, and alignment become second nature. Each interaction reinforces reliability, competence, and trustworthiness. This habitual presence guides behavior, perception, and outcomes. People respond intuitively, drawn to the consistency, integrity, and authority you embody. The invisible effect grows silently, shaping influence and inspiring alignment without announcement or demand. Ultimately, presence defines legacy. The patterns of trust, influence, and respect established through disciplined self-mastery endure beyond immediate interactions. Others carry the lessons, perceptions, and expectations you have set into their own behavior. Influence becomes invisible, yet enduring, shaping outcomes, decisions, and relationships long after the moment has passed. Presence is the embodiment of Stoic mastery, a silent demonstration of calm, clarity, honesty, and ownership. If you want to continue cultivating this invisible authority, to refine the quiet power of presence, and to strengthen the mastery of your mind, subscribe now to commit to your own path of growth, reflection, and deliberate action. Let each idea, each insight, and each lesson guide you toward becoming someone whose influence is felt, even when unspoken. Consider the metaphor of a tree standing in a storm. The wind bends branches, rattles leaves, and howls through the surrounding landscape. Yet the core of the tree, its trunk and roots, remains unmoved. It absorbs the force without collapsing. The storm can rage, but it cannot dictate the tree's inner structure. Your mind functions in the same way. The outer world will challenge you constantly. People will question, provoke, and test. Circumstances will shift unpredictably, but the internal foundation, the rooted calm you cultivate cannot be dismantled unless you permit it. Marcus Aurelius reminds us to be like a rock amid the waves, unshaken. This is not a call to emotional suppression, but a call to intentional stability. It is to maintain equilibrium, not through avoidance, but through conscious regulation of the self. By practicing this, you do not merely endure challenges, you shape the impact of every challenge on those around you. Yet, calm alone is not enough. It must be paired with clarity and attention. If the stillness is opaque, it may be mistaken for passivity or detachment. But when paired with awareness, it conveys confidence, competence, and leadership. People naturally gravitate toward those who manage themselves under pressure. They trust the judgment of those who remain composed while others falter. It is in these moments, when everything seems to spiral, that invisible influence is most evident. The person who can sit quietly, assess the situation, and act with purpose guides others without the need for authority or loud assertions. Influence emerges not from command, but from the certainty and steadiness that radiates from mastery of the self. Emotion is not something to ignore. Stoicism does not call for numbness or detachment from reality. It calls for regulation. It calls for recognition, understanding, and deliberate action. When tension rises within, it is an opportunity for mastery. When you feel the urge to react instantly, it is a chance to pause, reflect, and choose. This is where true leadership begins. People respond to the control you exhibit over yourself, not over them. It is subtle, invisible, but immensely powerful. By managing the storm within, you influence the storm around you. The ripple effect is profound. Your stability reduces stress in others, allows clarity to emerge, and fosters trust without a word being spoken. Presence, cultivated this way, becomes an unspoken authority. To live this way, it helps to create rituals and reminders. A brief pause before speaking, controlled breathing, mental notes to observe rising tension, these small practices compound over time. They are the scaffolding that supports resilience under pressure. Stoics often used reflection and journaling to reinforce their intentions. By noting moments of emotional fluctuation, examining triggers and planning responses, they strengthened their ability to remain unmoved. In modern life, the same principle applies. Awareness, pause, and intentional action are the steps that transform ordinary reactions into deliberate influence. Each time you choose calm over chaos, you reinforce the structure of your mind, and your presence becomes increasingly stable. Ultimately, influence begins with this invisible action, mastering your inner calm. It is the foundation upon which trust, clarity, honesty, and presence are built. Without it, every other effort is weakened. With it, your actions ripple outward, shaping environments, guiding behavior, and inspiring confidence without a single word of force. Calm is not passive, it is deliberate. It is not inert, it is active. It is the quiet force that creates visible effects. And as Marcus Aurelius reminds us, to be unshaken amid the waves is not merely desirable, it is necessary. In cultivating this, you begin the journey toward invisible influence, toward leadership rooted not in authority, but in presence, restraint, and mastery of self. 2. Clarity in thought and action. Clarity is born from calm. When the mind is steady, the chaos of the world no longer dictates your perception. Thoughts settle like sediment in water, revealing patterns and priorities that were previously hidden. In moments of stress, confusion multiplies. People rush, they misinterpret, they misalign with one another, and even the most brilliant ideas fail to land. Yet a mind anchored in composure sees through this fog. It discerns what matters most, it separates the urgent from the important, and it translates complexity into actionable steps. The Stoics emphasized this distinction between what is within our control and what is not, teaching that influence begins where clarity intersects with deliberate action. Define what is within your control and guide others from that space. This is the essence of intentional leadership. When your decisions and instructions flow from understanding rather than impulse, the people around you begin to align naturally. They act not because they are coerced, but because the path is clear. Clarity is not merely about simplifying tasks. It is about creating an environment in which the mind of each individual is able to function without distraction or doubt. Imagine being part of a team where priorities are murky, where instructions are vague, where assumptions replace communication. Energy dissipates, frustration builds. Even capable individuals stumble, not because of lack of skill, but because the guidance they receive is fragmented. When you bring clarity, you remove this unnecessary friction. You provide a lens through which others can perceive purpose. Clear direction transforms scattered energy into coordinated effort. People begin to move as if guided by a shared understanding, even when you have not uttered a single word about control. Clarity, in this sense, is both the map and the compass. It is the signal that channels action into meaningful progress. As clarity grows, trust naturally follows. People instinctively sense when a mind is coherent and consistent. When instructions are precise, when expectations are understood, they can rely on the stability of both the guidance and the person providing it. In the absence of clarity, doubt creeps in. Decisions are questioned, effort is guarded, and attention is fragmented. But when clarity is present, confidence flourishes. People feel empowered to act because the path forward is illuminated. Their energy, previously consumed by speculation and uncertainty, now flows toward tangible outcomes. The ripple effect of clarity is subtle, yet profound. It touches every interaction, every project, every decision, reinforcing the invisible influence of a mind that remains composed even amidst turbulence. Complexity is the natural state of the world, but it is not an obstacle for a calm, clear mind. Chaos often presents as a barrage of competing priorities, conflicting perspectives, and unpredictable circumstances. Without clarity, individuals are lost in this landscape. Instructions become noise, deadlines become pressure, and intentions are misunderstood. But clarity transforms this chaos into coherence. It distills the essential from the peripheral, it communicates actionable steps, and it anticipates questions before they arise. The act of translating complexity into simplicity is not condescension. It is mastery. It is the skill of creating mental space where others can act effectively without being paralyzed by uncertainty. The calm mind, therefore, is not simply passive. It actively organizes, prioritizes, and communicates. It is also essential to recognize that clarity is not static. Circumstances shift, new information emerges, and priorities change. A mind anchored in calm is able to absorb these fluctuations and communicate adjustments without generating confusion. This adaptability reinforces trust. People respond to leaders who can maintain coherence amid change. They are reassured not just by the original clarity, but by the consistent ability to update, refine, and communicate evolving expectations. This dynamic clarity requires ongoing awareness, reflection, and deliberate practice. It is not a one-time action, but a continuous discipline. Clarity strengthens decision-making as well. When the mind is organized, the options become visible, trade-offs apparent, and outcomes foreseeable. This clarity allows for measured choices rather than reactive decisions. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the alignment of action with reason. By maintaining clarity, you align external action with internal judgment. Decisions become deliberate, consistent, and defensible. Others naturally recognize and respect this alignment. They sense the difference between thoughtful guidance and arbitrary authority. This recognition enhances both influence and cooperation. A leader or individual who embodies clarity enables others to perform at their best. People do not act blindly. They do not expend energy deciphering intentions. They act decisively, efficiently, and with purpose. The absence of ambiguity allows the full capacity of their abilities to manifest. Clarity in this sense is a force multiplier. It amplifies competence without additional instruction. It channels energy into meaningful outcomes and transforms potential confusion into coordinated action. The ripple effects extend far beyond immediate interactions. Even in personal life, clarity shapes relationships, decisions, and outcomes. When expectations are understood, when communication is precise, trust is reinforced and misunderstandings diminish. People respond predictably, with confidence and with alignment. The calm mind not only organizes priorities, but conveys them in a manner others can internalize. It is the invisible foundation upon which cooperation, trust, and respect are built. The clarity of thought becomes clarity of action, and clarity of action generates influence without assertion. Psychologically, clarity reduces anxiety. Uncertainty creates mental strain, tension, and cognitive load. When guidance, priorities, or decisions are ambiguous, individuals expend unnecessary energy compensating for gaps in understanding. When clarity is present, the mind can focus entirely on action, problem-solving, and execution. This not only enhances performance, but reduces stress, creates mental space for creativity, and reinforces confidence in leadership. People feel safe, guided, and empowered. They mirror the calm confidence and clear vision of those who lead thoughtfully. Even subtle aspects of communication contribute to clarity. Tone, structure, and consistency matter. When instructions are repeated, summarized, or framed in simple language, comprehension deepens. Complex ideas can be broken down without diminishing their significance. Simplifying the path forward does not dilute responsibility. It enables mastery. As Plato suggested through his reflections on the art of teaching, ideas must be conveyed in ways that the recipient can truly grasp. The skill of clarity is therefore not just cognitive, it is communicative. It shapes understanding, behavior, and alignment. Clarity is also a preventative tool. Misunderstandings, conflict, and inefficiency often arise not from incompetence, but from ambiguity. When everyone understands what to do, the need for correction, intervention, or dispute diminishes. The calm, clear mind anticipates confusion before it arises, preemptively structuring communication and action. This foresight enhances efficiency, reduces friction, and strengthens the invisible influence of the individual who cultivates clarity consistently. Over time, clarity becomes self-reinforcing. People begin to internalize the patterns, expectations, and priorities you communicate. They develop habits aligned with understanding and purpose. This reduces the need for constant oversight, intervention, or correction. Leadership, in this sense, becomes invisible yet deeply effective. The environment, the team, or the network functions smoothly because the underlying structure of understanding is firmly established. The calm, clear mind orchestrates outcomes without ever needing to dominate. Ultimately, clarity is the bridge between calm and influence. Calm establishes the internal stability necessary to perceive accurately. Clarity translates that perception into action that others can follow. Without clarity, calm risks being misinterpreted as passivity or indecision. With clarity, calm becomes an active, guiding force. It allows energy to flow efficiently, decisions to be understood, and people to act confidently. Trust emerges naturally, influence spreads quietly, and results manifest without coercion. By consistently practicing calm and clarity together, individuals cultivate an invisible authority that does not demand obedience, but inspires action. People follow because the path is evident, because the decisions are deliberate, and because the mind guiding them is unshakable. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the alignment of reason and action. When clarity is paired with composure, Reasoning becomes effective not just internally, but externally. Others sense it, respond to it, and trust it without the need for assertion. This is the invisible power of calm translated into clarity, a foundation for influence, leadership, and enduring respect. 3. Honest truth as invisible influence. Honesty is a subtle force, yet it carries weight far greater than any boast, command, or display of authority. When clarity has settled your mind and calm steadies your responses, truth becomes the next tool in shaping influence. There is a common misconception that being honest is about bluntness or confrontation. But real honesty is measured, deliberate, and rooted in understanding. It is not an outpouring of impulse or a weapon wielded to assert dominance. Rather, it is the alignment of words with reality, the precise articulation of what is, without distortion or evasion. By consistently expressing truth, you establish a framework that others can rely upon. They begin to anticipate your reactions, to trust your judgment, and to act confidently in the space you create. The invisible impact of sincere honesty is felt not through drama, but through the predictable, dependable structure it builds around every interaction. Consider a team or a group that operates without clarity of truth. Expectations go unspoken, assumptions proliferate, and misunderstandings fester silently. People hesitate to act, unsure of boundaries, priorities, or consequences. Fear of error dominates decision-making, and energy that could drive progress is consumed by uncertainty. Sincere honesty prevents this. It is a beacon of clarity that cuts through ambiguity. The Stoics remind us that we must confront reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. By doing so, we reduce anxiety for others as well as ourselves. When people understand where they stand, they feel empowered. The knowledge of truth, expressed consistently, becomes a foundation for trust and cooperation. This is why honesty, when practiced intentionally, is not harsh. It is liberating. Delivering truth effectively requires self-awareness. You cannot be honest without first understanding your own perceptions, judgments, and biases. The mind must be disciplined to discern what is objective, what is important, and what is worth communicating. Without this awareness, honesty can devolve into projection, judgment, or criticism. But with clarity and calm established, your insight becomes a channel through which truth can flow without distortion. People recognize when you are grounded in reason rather than emotion. They sense when your words are intentional rather than reactive. This presence of reliability fosters security, which is the invisible magnet of influence. When others feel safe in your honesty, they respond with openness, cooperation, and respect. The environment itself transforms, becoming more transparent, more efficient, and more aligned with purpose. There is a delicate balance between critique and insult, between guidance and judgment. Honesty, in its most effective form, identifies gaps without diminishing the individual. It illuminates possibilities, highlights areas for improvement, and communicates expectations clearly. Insults, by contrast, anchor attention in the past, in failure, and in negativity, creating defensiveness and resistance. To practice invisible influence, the truth must be expressed with precision and empathy. It requires timing, tone, and consideration of context. The person receiving it should never feel ambushed or demeaned. Instead, they should experience clarity, insight, and a sense of direction. By framing honesty in this way, you create predictability in relationships. Others know where they stand and can act confidently within those parameters. Consistency is central to trust. One instance of honesty is insufficient to create influence. True reliability emerges from repeated alignment between word and action, between what is said and what is demonstrated. People unconsciously monitor this alignment. They detect discrepancies and weigh the credibility of your guidance accordingly. When honesty is habitual, it becomes a stabilizing force. Others do not have to question your motives or interpret hidden meanings. The invisible impact of this consistency is profound. It reduces hesitation, accelerates decision-making, and encourages initiative. People invest effort and energy where they sense transparency and dependability. They follow because your reliability has created a predictable, secure foundation, not because you demanded compliance. Sincere honesty also accelerates growth, both for the speaker and for those who interact with them. When feedback is unambiguous and truthful, it creates an environment where reflection is possible. Mistakes are addressed directly, lessons are internalized quickly, and improvement occurs without unnecessary delay. In personal and professional contexts alike, the ability to articulate truth fosters learning and development. People begin to trust not only the information they are given, but the integrity of the person providing it. They recognize that the guidance they receive is not clouded by hidden agendas or personal bias. This recognition, subtle yet powerful, amplifies influence. The effects are invisible yet undeniable, as actions and outcomes increasingly reflect alignment and understanding. The practice of honesty requires courage, particularly when truth challenges expectations, norms, or comfort. It is easier to avoid confrontation, to withhold critical feedback, or to disguise truth with politeness. Yet, the invisible leader understands that avoidance corrodes trust. By confronting reality responsibly and intentionally, you model the very behavior you wish to cultivate in others. Sincere truth communicates that actions, decisions, and behaviors have predictable consequences, and that responsibility is acknowledged. This is the core of invisible influence, creating a space where people act confidently, guided by clarity and reassured by consistency. They follow because the framework you establish allows them to navigate complexity with certainty. Effective honesty integrates observation with communication. Understanding the emotional, cognitive, and motivational states of others allows truth to be framed constructively. When you calibrate your approach, recognizing the individual's readiness and perception, the message lands more effectively. The invisible leader tailors communication not to manipulate, but to maximize comprehension and alignment. In this manner, honesty becomes a tool of guidance, influence, and stability. It enhances collaboration, reduces friction, and fosters mutual respect. Each interaction, measured and truthful, reinforces a culture of reliability, openness, and purpose. Sincere honesty also reinforces accountability. When expectations are clearly articulated and reality acknowledged, individuals are more likely to accept responsibility for their actions. This creates a network of reliability where initiative is empowered and discretionary effort is encouraged. People act in alignment with principles rather than waiting for permission or interpreting hidden motives. Influence in this sense is invisible because it operates through structures of trust, expectation, and consistent communication rather than overt direction. The presence of honesty cultivates agency, confidence, and alignment simultaneously. The invisible leader recognizes that trust is fragile, yet essential. Honesty is the currency that preserves it. Even minor inconsistencies or evasions can erode confidence over time. By maintaining alignment between word and action, by conveying truth with precision and empathy, the leader ensures that trust accumulates steadily. Others feel secure in the knowledge that the person guiding them can be relied upon. This security reduces cognitive load, allows focus on meaningful action, and amplifies influence. The subtle impact of consistent honesty is cumulative, reinforcing the invisible structures of leadership and respect. Silence can be a tool of honesty when used strategically. It allows reflection, assessment, and the observation of reactions. Speaking with intention rather than compulsion ensures that every word carries weight. The absence of unnecessary commentary allows key truths to stand out. People notice what is said and what is not, inferring priorities, values, and expectations. The balance between communication and restraint is central to invisible influence. Truth becomes evident not only in content, but in rhythm, timing, and presence. This is where honesty transcends the surface level of words and enters the domain of invisible authority. Even in personal interactions, the principles of honest communication remain potent. Relationships, friendships, and partnerships benefit from unambiguous expression of expectations, desires, and observations. Ambiguity breeds confusion, doubt, and misalignment, while measured honesty fosters understanding, cooperation, and trust. By cultivating this habit internally, the individual develops both the skill of discernment and the discipline to communicate constructively. Others respond predictably because they sense consistency, competence, and reliability. The invisible power of honest expression lies in its capacity to stabilize, guide, and influence without coercion. The culmination of calm, clarity, and honesty creates a subtle yet undeniable magnetism. People trust, respect, and follow because they can predict and rely upon your behavior. They feel safe in the structure that truth creates and empowered to act within it. Influence is exercised without declaration. It is a consequence of consistency, alignment, and principled interaction. The Stoics advocate for confronting reality squarely, guiding action by reason, and shaping outcomes through disciplined thought. Each expression of measured truth reinforces the invisible framework that sustains influence, fosters trust, and cultivates respect. Through deliberate practice, honesty becomes effortless yet intentional. The mind recognizes when to intervene, when to observe, and when to articulate. Feedback, critique, and guidance are delivered with purpose, enhancing alignment and understanding. Others internalize these patterns, adopting similar behaviors and contributing to a culture of reliability and transparency. The subtle, invisible effects of consistent honesty extend far beyond immediate interactions, shaping networks, groups, and communities over time. Influence becomes systemic, enduring, and profound, operating quietly yet effectively. By integrating honesty with calm and clarity, the mind achieves a level of mastery that transcends superficial control. Influence is exercised without authority, guidance is followed without coercion, and respect is given without demand. People respond not because of the volume of instruction, but because of the reliability and alignment they perceive. In this way, honesty, when practiced with intentionality, becomes an invisible yet potent instrument for shaping behavior, fostering trust, and cultivating influence that is deeply felt, broadly observed, and enduringly effective. 4. Responsibility and ownership. Responsibility is an unseen current that quietly shapes how others perceive you. When honesty establishes the foundation of trust, it is responsibility that sustains it and allows it to grow. The person who consistently steps forward, who does not wait for others to assign blame or dictate action, becomes a point of stability in any situation. This is not a matter of asserting authority or control, but of demonstrating reliability. People notice, almost subconsciously, the ones who take initiative, the ones who solve problems without complaint or hesitation. The invisible power of ownership emerges not in public display, but in the consistent pattern of action that others can rely upon. It is subtle, yet magnetic, a form of influence that does not require assertion, but naturally attracts cooperation and respect. Consider how often frustration and stagnation in teams, groups, or partnerships are caused not by lack of ability, but by hesitation or avoidance. People spend precious energy debating who is responsible, deflecting blame, or waiting for permission. The invisible leader bypasses this entirely. They see the challenge in front of them and act. This is not reckless intervention, but a measured response grounded in reason and foresight. By accepting responsibility, They communicate to everyone around them that action is valued more than complaint, solution more than criticism. Others learn to orient themselves toward results rather than excuses. In doing so, a culture of accountability emerges naturally. This is the silent architecture of influence, built not with commands, but with consistent, principled action. Ownership extends beyond tasks that are clearly assigned. True responsibility often involves challenges that are not yours by design, problems created by others, circumstances you did not initiate. Yet in stepping forward to address them, you establish competence and trust in ways that are invisible but deeply influential. The Stoics remind us that our freedom lies in our response, not in the events themselves. Epictetus captured this principle perfectly. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters. This mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities, not only for problem solving, but for demonstrating reliability. Each action taken without complaint, each challenge accepted without hesitation, reinforces the perception of someone who can be counted upon in all circumstances. In the absence of ownership, even capable individuals are limited. Opportunities slip through hesitation, momentum is lost, and trust erodes. People instinctively notice who steps forward without being asked, who identifies a gap and fills it without prompting. It is not the recognition they seek that defines their influence, but the consistent choice to act. Responsibility signals competence without requiring self-promotion. The silent demonstration of capability becomes a form of invisible leadership. Others begin to rely on them because reliability has become predictable. Dependability is communicated not through words, but through the accumulation of actions. Each response reinforces the trustworthiness of the individual, creating a network of confidence that extends far beyond immediate interactions. The practice of ownership requires discernment. Acting without thinking leads to errors, while inaction leads to stagnation. The invisible leader learns to balance initiative with reflection. They assess the situation, determine what can be influenced, and act decisively. They do not wait for instructions or debate priorities endlessly. They perceive what needs to be done and take measured steps to address it. This alignment of perception, judgment, and action reinforces the reliability that others notice. People come to expect not just action, but intelligent, thoughtful, and effective action. In this way, responsibility becomes a magnet for trust. Individuals are drawn toward those whose judgment can be relied upon consistently, and influence is exercised without overt authority. Ownership also builds resilience within groups and organizations. When individuals consistently accept responsibility for outcomes, reliance on formal hierarchy diminishes, decision-making becomes distributed, and action is decentralized. People do not wait for directives. They perceive problems, assess options, and respond. This self-directed competence fosters a culture where initiative is rewarded and hesitation is minimized. Responsibility, practiced visibly through action, establishes an environment where accountability is shared, momentum is maintained, and trust is continuously reinforced. Leadership becomes an emergent property of consistent behaviors rather than imposed authority. Responsibility also shapes perception over time. When people consistently act on challenges they did not create, they cultivate an aura of competence and dependability. Others respond to this presence without requiring explicit authority. Trust is reinforced because expectations are met predictably. Influence is exerted invisibly through the quiet assurance that outcomes will be addressed. The practice of taking ownership, particularly for matters outside one's immediate obligation, signals to others that commitment, capability, and integrity are present. This is the essence of the invisible leader, guiding, stabilizing, and empowering through consistent, principled action rather than through vocal dominance or positional authority. This form of influence also encourages others to adopt similar behaviors. When responsibility is modeled, it establishes norms of engagement. Colleagues and team members begin to anticipate proactive action, creating a culture where initiative is expected and recognized, not coerced. The invisible network of accountability strengthens the effectiveness of the group as a whole. Each instance of reliable, deliberate action reinforces both trust and competence, establishing a self-perpetuating cycle of influence. Leadership emerges organically as individuals respond to the dependable framework created through repeated demonstration of ownership. Even in personal contexts, responsibility sustains trust and strengthens relationships. People observe who consistently addresses challenges, communicates transparently, and acts with integrity. This perception reduces uncertainty and fosters confidence in collaboration. When you step forward to resolve issues proactively, others are more likely to follow, contribute, and invest effort. The cumulative effect is subtle but profound. Influence grows through a pattern of dependable, principled engagement. People respond to consistency over time, and invisible authority is established without assertion, pressure, or manipulation. Ownership also serves as a preventative measure. Problems often escalate when no one steps forward. Hesitation, blame shifting, or avoidance creates inefficiency, stress, and conflict. By acting decisively and responsibly, the invisible leader prevents escalation, stabilizes situations, and reinforces the perception of competence. Others begin to anticipate intervention in moments of uncertainty, creating a self-reinforcing trust dynamic. The invisible impact of such behavior is cumulative, shaping environments, expectations, and interactions in ways that are recognized subconsciously. Importantly, taking responsibility does not imply accepting blame unnecessarily. It involves recognizing what is within your influence and acting to address it, even when it originates elsewhere. This approach distinguishes ownership from subservience or overextension. The Stoics emphasize focusing on what can be controlled and aligning actions with reason. By addressing outcomes proactively and without complaint, you demonstrate competence and reliability, reinforcing trust in ways that are both visible and invisible. Others sense that problems will be met with solutions, not excuses, and this recognition amplifies influence organically. Patterns of ownership also enhance decision-making. When challenges are consistently addressed by those capable of measured action, the collective confidence of the group increases. Risk is mitigated, momentum is maintained, and collaboration is streamlined. Individuals respond more decisively because they trust that gaps will be addressed responsibly. This culture of accountability strengthens cohesion, efficiency, and alignment. Influence spreads quietly as people internalize the expectation and observe the demonstration of responsibility repeatedly. Reliability, established through consistent ownership, becomes an invisible metric of leadership. It signals capability without the need for self-promotion. Others adjust their behavior accordingly, aligning efforts with the example set by those who act decisively. Influence emerges naturally, trust is reinforced, and collaboration flourishes. The subtle force of responsibility, exercised consistently and deliberately, transforms individual competence into collective effectiveness, establishing an enduring framework for action and cooperation. The act of accepting challenges beyond personal obligation cultivates skill, insight, and perspective. Each situation addressed strengthens judgment and develops a broader understanding of cause, effect, and potential outcomes. Others recognize this expertise not through proclamation but through repeated demonstration. Competence becomes apparent, and influence is reinforced without overt assertion. Responsibility, therefore, functions both as a practical tool for problem-solving and as an invisible signal of capability and authority. Ultimately, invisible influence through responsibility is built on consistency, foresight, and deliberate action. Every challenge met, every problem solved, and every instance of accountability reinforces trust and reliability. Others are drawn to this stability, aligning their behavior and expectations accordingly. The invisible leader does not demand obedience or recognition. They act decisively, model accountability, and create a framework in which trust and cooperation flourish naturally. Responsibility, exercised with clarity and consistency, becomes the silent force that sustains influence, strengthens relationships, and cultivates respect across time and circumstance. 5. The power of presence. Presence is the culmination of every invisible action you practice. It is what emerges when calm, clarity, honesty, and ownership have been integrated into the way you carry yourself. It is subtle, often unnoticed, yet impossible to ignore. Presence communicates without speech. It signals competence, calm, and integrity in a way that no declaration ever could. People sense it intuitively. They feel it in the weight of your attention, the steadiness of your movement, and the alignment of your words with your actions. This is not performance, nor is it calculated manipulation. It is the natural radiance of self-mastery. When someone possesses this presence, influence flows effortlessly because others perceive reliability, stability, and purpose. The quiet authority that presence conveys is unshakable because it is grounded in discipline, reflection, and the consistent application of principles over time. Consider the difference between a room filled with noise and activity and a room with someone whose presence alone commands attention. The noise captures temporary focus, but presence directs energy. It subtly shapes decisions, behaviors, and attitudes without coercion or demand. The Stoics teach that influence begins with the self, and presence is the external manifestation of internal mastery. When you are anchored in reason, composed under pressure, honest in communication, and willing to accept responsibility, the energy you emit becomes magnetic. Others respond not because of fear or obligation, but because of confidence in your steadiness. They follow your lead naturally, inspired by the consistency they observe in your character. This influence is invisible yet profound. It is quiet, deliberate, and enduring. Presence also shapes perception over time. A single display of composure or competence can be missed or dismissed, but consistent demonstration reinforces credibility. People begin to rely on your judgment without question. They internalize the patterns of your responses and adjust their expectations accordingly. Your influence becomes embedded in the way others operate, not as an external imposition, but as an internalized standard. Every interaction reinforces this invisible authority. The subtle cues of posture, tone, and intention communicate alignment and stability. Over time, the repetition of these behaviors solidifies trust, amplifies respect, and strengthens influence in ways that words alone could never achieve. Invisible presence is strengthened by awareness. To embody it fully, you must understand how your energy, your reactions, and your behaviors are perceived by others. Self-reflection is essential. Observing how you respond when no one is watching or when circumstances are chaotic reveals the consistency of your character. The Stoics remind us to align perception with reality, to understand our influence, and to cultivate self-mastery. In practicing presence, attention to detail is not superficial. It is the refinement of the mind and body into a coherent whole. Small gestures, a calm tone, deliberate movement, measured words, compound into an aura of reliability and authority. Others respond intuitively, drawn toward the predictability and competence you embody. This is the invisible language of influence. Presence also serves as a stabilizing force for those around you. In environments where uncertainty or tension exists, the person who demonstrates consistent presence becomes an anchor. Others unconsciously mirror this steadiness, aligning their own actions with the equilibrium they observe. When leadership is executed through presence rather than assertion, collaboration flows more smoothly. Decisions are met with trust, not doubt. Effort is focused rather than distracted, Energy that would otherwise be wasted on anxiety or speculation is redirected toward productivity and initiative. The subtlety of presence ensures that influence is exercised without resistance, coercion, or fatigue. It is the quiet engine behind engagement, alignment, and cooperation. The interplay of all prior invisible actions, calm, clarity, honesty, and ownership, manifests in the quality of presence. Calm provides the foundation, clarity provides the structure, honesty establishes trust, and ownership demonstrates competence. Presence is the visible effect of the internal discipline that orchestrates these elements. It communicates more than words, more than titles or authority. People respond first to what they feel, then to what they hear. Presence ensures that your influence is experienced holistically, shaping not only decisions but attitudes, behaviors, and perceptions. The energy you radiate confirms the reliability of your actions, reinforcing alignment and inspiring voluntary engagement from those around you. Presence also reinforces influence through resilience. Challenges, setbacks, and unexpected pressures test the alignment of internal and external behavior. Those who have cultivated presence continue to act with integrity, composure, and decisiveness, even when circumstances are adverse. This resilience communicates competence and reliability without declaration. Others notice, even subconsciously, the consistency and discipline required to maintain such steadiness. Their confidence in your judgment and character deepens, not through observation of achievement alone, but through the repeated demonstration of self-mastery under pressure. Presence becomes a stabilizing force that perpetuates trust and inspires confidence. The subtle power of presence extends beyond leadership into all interactions. Relationships, teams, and communities are influenced not just by explicit instruction, but by the energy individuals carry. A consistent, grounded presence fosters cooperation, mitigates conflict, and enhances alignment. It establishes a standard of behavior that others unconsciously emulate. The Stoic perspective emphasizes mastery of the self as the source of influence. Presence embodies this mastery, translating internal discipline into external effect. People act, respond, and align themselves to the reliability they sense in the person who consistently inhabits this state. The authority it conveys is invisible, yet undeniably effective. Presence also cultivates respect without demand. When your actions, words, and demeanor consistently reflect competence, integrity, and intention, others naturally follow. They respond not because of position, coercion, or recognition, but because of the predictability and stability of your influence. Trust is earned in these subtle ways over time through repeated demonstration of alignment between principle and behavior. The invisible leader does not need to assert dominance or superiority. Their presence is sufficient to inspire engagement, cooperation, and loyalty. Influence is reinforced silently, cumulatively, and enduringly. The exercise of presence requires attention to small, often overlooked details. Tone of voice, pace of speech, body language, and timing of responses all contribute to the subtle message conveyed. These elements, when aligned with internal mastery, reinforce the coherence and reliability others perceive. Each interaction becomes an opportunity to strengthen presence, to shape perception, and to exercise invisible influence. Over time, these small but deliberate actions accumulate, creating an aura of authority that is felt rather than announced, recognized rather than demanded. The quiet consistency of presence defines the credibility and impact of the individual who practices it. Even in high-stakes or volatile environments, presence remains the stabilizing factor. Those who have mastered internal calm, clarity, honesty, and ownership are able to navigate turbulence without succumbing to pressure. Their influence spreads through observation, not imposition. People adjust to their steadiness, finding guidance in the consistency of action and demeanor. Presence becomes a point of reference, an invisible anchor around which others organize thought and effort. The impact is subtle, pervasive, and deeply effective, shaping culture, outcomes, and relationships through disciplined practice rather than force. Over time, presence becomes habitual. The energy you emit, the decisions you make, and the alignment you maintain become second nature. It is a reflection of the invisible work of self-mastery, of calm cultivated in chaos, clarity refined through observation, honesty articulated with precision, and ownership exercised consistently. This habitual presence informs every interaction, guiding perception, shaping behavior, and reinforcing influence without overt effort. Others respond intuitively, drawn to the consistency, integrity, and authority that presence conveys. Finally, presence defines legacy. The patterns of influence, trust, and respect established through disciplined self-mastery endure beyond immediate interactions. People carry the lessons, perceptions, and expectations set by your consistent presence into their own actions, decisions, and relationships. Influence, in this sense, is invisible yet enduring, shaping outcomes and perceptions long after the moment has passed. The Stoics teach that the cultivation of character and mastery of self are the truest forms of power. Presence embodies this principle. It is the silent testimony of disciplined thought, deliberate action, and principled living. Ask yourself, how do you appear when no one is watching? The answer reveals the influence you truly hold. Presence is measured not by attention drawn, but by stability felt, trust established, and alignment created. It is invisible, yet inescapable. People follow, respect, and respond because they sense consistency, reliability, and integrity. The quiet authority of presence communicates competence without words, calm without display, and mastery without justification. In cultivating this, you embody influence at its most enduring, subtle, and profound. Keep nurturing these invisible actions, and you'll notice a shift, not just in how others respond to you, but in how you navigate life itself. Each day is an opportunity to strengthen your mind, refine your judgment, and cultivate the calm authority that others instinctively follow. The mastery of self is the foundation of everything meaningful.